That is Isaiah Rashad on this full moon. Let's go. Well, actually tomorrow, but what I say before, it's like 3 days before and 3 days after. Say, can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Can you really see me? Because to really absorb, you really got to see and you got to hear with your awareness. Your awareness has to be free from almost any kind of influences. It's got to be your own. So I guess I should introduce myself. If you've never watched this before, this is the I don't know, since 17. Well, the other channel started in 17. This channel is from January. But from practicing since 17, actually 16. With Pomo-matic, Godspeed TV, yeah, summer of 16, we started podcasting. Or I started podcasting with him and Benito at 16. Got a lot of practice with him. But PJ, that's a good decoder, Joe Johnson. I hadn't thought about that. Tonight was, I guess I should have came on last night and talked about this because it was kind of predictable. And reason why I showed that Giannis file on purpose, I was like, oh, they're going to give it to him. When I saw Giannis file on purpose tonight, I was like, oh, they're going to let Atlanta win it. So that was the breaker. But PJ, what's happening? The one, wellness to you, Jesse Lynn. Thank you. Yes, the one, Aggie Pride indeed. Oh, yeah. Hey, Moray, what's happening? Hey, Jay, thanks for joining. It's funny. I didn't notice that Trey Young had a big hole back there. Like his hair is real wiry, but man, I didn't know he had a little bald spot that kind of showed today. I was thinking, wow, this cat, what is this cat? 20? 21? Still a fairly young cat. Oh, I guess didn't give out a little spirit magic. Tonight's beers again, Great Lakes Conway's Ale. So pop them if you got them, smoke them if you want them. But it was kind of you could almost see it. Now, and let me touch on a little bit of last night's game. Last night game was 5 points. They gave up 5 for that game, so they did not cover. So that was a big win. That was a big win. They didn't cover because a lot of people gave up the points. Watching these betting shows, and they was all saying give up the points, and yeah, they did not cover. So technically, if you took the Clippers and you took the 5, you won last night. And last night was one of them games that you couldn't really tell. See, when you consider what happened tonight, you look at the money bet, it's going to be looked at differently. Like, oh, they could get 1. So it changes the way the betting is put in there. But it was the same thing like when Iverson got 1 out of Shaq and Kobe. And I think they can win more than 1. But like that showed you the pattern. You know, when Iverson walked over Lou, that game was easy to predict what the pattern could be. Because the way they looked at it is, this game ain't going to get much interest because everybody know the Lakers was too strong. Iverson wasn't enough to beat Shaq and Kobe. But the way they said is, what game could we make the most money out of? What game would be the most likely that no team would really know each other? We saw it when Jordan played the Lakers the first time. Remember, the Lakers won game 1. The Lakers was not favored. The Lakers wasn't even favored to beat Portland because that Portland team had a pretty decent team. I think Jimmy Jackson was on that Portland team and Ryder. And I mean, good Ryder. They had a pretty decent team, and Magic in that cast beat that better team. I don't think. Well, Drexler wasn't there then. Drexler was with Houston by then, but that was the better team. And Ryder was at Portland and Jimmy Jackson. They had a decent team. So yesterday, the thing to look at from yesterday was the refs' response. Now, when I talked about the game, when I did my highlights and said that I thought. And I guess the NBA does not like you putting scripted in there. I've noticed they've given me copyright claims when I use script. They don't like that word. That offends them, and that's one of their words that. But one thing I noticed is, and I watched, was the officials, the way they acted. The officials never called a made basket. They never really did anything. As I've showed, the one official didn't even float down to get in position. Now, again, the way the camera was angled, it's hard to catch all 3 refs in the same shot. I've noticed that. But really, his position would have been further in because there was nobody watching technically under the basket at all. He stayed in the corner. So how can you call a play under the basket? So that made me see right there that by his movement, something different happened. Something different happened, and that is what made me think, wow, their reaction, they didn't know what to do. And it's rarely into the games where they know what to do. Because they didn't call it good, they didn't call it no good. But they didn't really call it. Okay, Pete, he cashed out with Atlanta. Okay. That's funny. Yeah, his hair is thinning. Adrian, what's happening? I was waiting for you to talk about last night. Yeah, I'll get into it. Good catch on that Trae Young foul call in real time. Yeah. Sometimes I'll be wanting to watch the game, so I hesitate. Like the one that Capello dunked in, they made him miss that shot. He made that shot, and they rolled it out. Remember, Capello followed his shot, followed Trae's shot. Trae shot that floater. That floater, they rolled it out. I still got that. I might have to release that one because that would clearly show. Or maybe I didn't even do it. Maybe, did I do it? I don't even think I did it because I was like, well, when they won. Maybe I did. I'm going to see if I did. I thought I recorded that. But if they rolled it out, he had made that, and they rolled it out. I don't know if y'all noticed that. Anybody, like, I watched a dude called The Modern Martial Artist. And again, I talk about, I've always been around boxing my whole life. I mean, literally my whole life. I'd say other than when I played the college years of football. That was probably the years when I played college football was the years where I really didn't see as much boxing. And I lived in Greensboro for 7 years. I didn't really see any more because what's funny is I remember Christmas is coming back to Michigan, and I saw a couple cats fight. I want to think of the dude from Kalamazoo lived actually. Did he live in Richmond? And he was the Duke. What was he? The Duke of, I forget what little city he's from, but I watched him fight somebody that fought somebody that fought somebody. And that was one of the few times that I did see a fight then. Yeah. So to watch Beverly's move, if you watch his footwork, and Beverly probably played football, but it's a way where you can use lead with your head. You can do a head-like lead as an attack. And it's easy to hit anybody in the bridge of the nose because it's not hard that you know here and you cover somebody in here. It's not hard. It's not hard. Like even with headgear, like dudes who wearing headgear when they box, that's why they wear so them kind of bumps. They don't cut people. Like even now, little boy football, when they play touch, they have little soft helmets now. They actually look like the helmets from early football, like the 1800 and some helmets. Some of the earliest designs, but it's that to protect that kind of thing. And so if you look at his foot, okay, there's a way, like when you box, you shaking your head and you'll fake punch like a person. So what he does is he does what's called a feint or like a feint or a jab with the other hand. But his real intention was to have full shoulder square and put his head between his nose. That is the move. That's the clear move. This is the dude who hurt Westbrook. He tore Westbrook's knee up. Y'all remember that? He purposely slid up under Westbrook and tore Westbrook's knee up. He tried to do it a second time, but he slid up sideways under Westbrook's knee. So that's a coincidence. That's a coincidence that he's hurt two people like that. And some people were saying, okay, some people was looking at, okay, was Booker in him? Looked like to me broke his nose. Now, I'll say this. I will say some of the compound fractures makes me wonder. Looking at over the years, some of the compound fractures makes me wonder. However, I said the story before, how easy it is I watched a person just shoot a layup, came down and had a compound fracture. So it's hard to call. I've seen noses broke plenty times, and his nose looked broke. People saying about the blood, it's in the eyes, and you saw the rest of the game. His eyes, you could see his eyes. The rest of the game, you get that little bit of bruising in here, and you could see the way he was squinting, and still was putting that smoke on. But that was, look at when they hurt Gale Sayers. They shredded his knee on purpose. If you watch the movie North Dallas 40, they show you how they used to high-low a person and end some people's career. Technically, it ended Dick Buckus' career. They did both his legs like that. And the same with Gale Sayers. He didn't get the high-low treatment, but they went after his legs. That was the only way the league could catch up with him, is they physically had to hurt him. Now, I don't know if he would go in on the fix. He didn't play on very many good teams, so that's kind of hard to say. He played well, team didn't play well. So it's hard to say. But it appeared like to me, with the steps taken, he broke his nose. Now, so we have the owner's wife. It was people thinking that's a type of magic. Could that be a type of magic or predictive programming? Again, and they did have once the nose broke thing in the picture showed, they did have all the Steve Nash stuff when he broke his nose. They did have that, like the snap, but that's kind of how it is. They're pretty much prepared for anything. Now, was that magic of the owner's wife having it? I think when Nash nose was broke, they lost. If I remember right. Maybe somebody correct me. I think when he broke his nose, I thought they lost. Maybe they didn't. But I didn't see any magic in that part that she wore that shirt. The shirt, if anything, the shirt could have been a trigger to do it. Now that's probably what it was. It's her wearing the shirt meant do it to Booker. That's if it's anything, that it was a signal more than magic. That's what I'm thinking it was. It was a signal for Beverly to go after Booker. Because there's nothing he could do with Booker but try to hurt him. And again, Giannis hurt Irving on purpose. What he did to Irving, he knew the space he took, Irving had to land. And he made a conscious effort to put his legs there. What was his name? No different than what that Zaza dude did to Kawhi Leonard. It was, and what Jalen Rose did to Kobe. It was the same exact thing, except they shot jump shots. Giannis knew. Hey, Crazy Sarge, thank you for joining. Oh, okay. Did you see Zach and them boys pull the video of the game last night with the owner's wife wearing Steve's? No, yeah. I saw them trying to figure out that magic. It wasn't magic. It was a signal. That's what it was. It was a signal to do it. That's what it was. It was a signal. No magic. It was a signal. When he saw that, this was the game where they was going to do that. I'm impotent. So, anything I show I'm flexing, I'm chewing on $10 cigars. I'm impotent. I shoot it to death. Still acid flavor though, or acid brand. Just more of it. But yeah, I saw them trying to apply magic to that. It was a signal more than magic. In football, we call it the okie doke, and in basketball, we call it settling. We call it settling chair. Settling the chair. Okay, bingo. Hey, Sebastian. Hey, Lorenzo. Thanks for joining. Yeah, it was more WWE than magic. Exactly. Yeah, it was a signal. Yeah, sitting in the chair. Okay, we call it. Yeah. So yeah, it was a signal. Yeah, it was a signal. So no magic to a signal. This is much simpler stuff. Much simpler. So people ask me, can they go off script? Times they do. Sometimes mistakes happen, and I don't know. The other part is like, has anybody noticed how much or I guess the total regression of Boogie Cousins? I mean, he has no lift at all. Now, they were saying that dudes like him, his size, now Durant seems to be fully recovered. He doesn't really seem to be missing anything, but not Boogie Cousins. He has no lift. I mean, like he just can't, he can get to the basket, and when he gets to the basket, he doesn't have enough lift, and he hasn't developed the touch of the high shot again. He hasn't, like, once he turns and he sees he can't lift, he hasn't taught himself to really just get a high shot off. And like it frustrates him. And he'll shoot a short shot to get it blocked instead of developing a way you get. I mean, it's like you're right there. You can always shoot over somebody. I mean, you can always get the shot up, but you got to shoot it right. And he just doesn't seem to have it. Shaza do to Kwame. Yeah, what Shaza did to Kwame was obvious. There was no need for him to run it. Yeah, exactly. But Jalen Rose started that. Watch Jalen Rose, what he did to Kobe when they played them in 99, 2000 season. This world is scripted. Yeah, in a lot of ways it is. Setting the chair. Okay, yeah. Hey, Valerie, I got my coin. Love it. You did an excellent job. Oh, okay. All right, Crazy Sarge. I love the high polished finish. So there we go. Hey, what's up, Edward Bailey? Thank you for joining me. Your thoughts on Ben Simmons' game? Does he deserve the money he's making, 150? Does he look like a star player? Well, see, it's blaming him was also a media thing too. It could have been part of the script. However, this is how he's never shown the shooting skills. Now, he's shown times the scoring skills sometimes, but he really has never shown the shooting skills. And so a lot of shots he takes, he's not a master of any of them. It's like you can't look at any of his shots and say, like even his little running little hook off the glass, none of those shots are shot with that much confidence. And so he's the same thing I've been saying about Giannis. I mean, these cats, if you, again, I don't know why they don't play zone and block off, put them 3 people back there. He ain't really got shooters to move people. You can still block him, run down. When Giannis and Lopez is there, you got a free man to run back quickly because Lopez ain't running nowhere quick. When Giannis and Lopez is in there, they are slow. And if I made any adjustments when those 2 are in there, everybody run when we get the ball because they can't get up and they're too slow with Lopez. He's too slow. Now, what was the? Let me see. Boogie is from my hometown. He is real arrogant. Okay, yeah. And then he later went to Kentucky. Okay, back to Ben. So it was a kind of a plan to dump on Ben, but on the other hand, as I was saying, these cats been coming from outer lands and ain't been as good as what people saying. There was nothing in Ben Simmons' college career that showed you he was good, other than supposedly what he did in a minor league. This is what they basing him on. And that ain't, again, China's the higher minor league, or it was before all this. But he's playing in Australia. So it's a whole different thing. He didn't light up. I don't even think he played the Vegas summer ball. And now they saying he don't like to work, which that comes if you an arrogant asshole, and if you ain't really working, that will come out. And this is my point. The thing with Kwame coming back in here and saying, look what you did to me. And as I said, look at Kwame's records as 19. Look at Giannis. And I bet you could even match it up to Simmons. And here's a boy they just shipped from place to place to place. And the thing about it is Simmons is showing journeyman talent. He's showing a complementary player talent. He's not even a number 2. He's not even a number 2. He's like a third option. That's why he's really a not shooting point guard. He really is. He's a non-shooting point guard. So, I've said this for Magic. Magic was great on defense. Magic could guard a 6'8", 6'9" dude. Magic 6'9". Dennis the same way. Actually a great rebounder. So it's not like his whole game is trash. But to be in the position he was put in as the number 1 pick to get all this money is the hype of European non-American players. It's the dump on the non-American players, and it's the hype up. Oh, and did you see where y'all see Russo got caught with a grinder? They said he only had a grinder. First, I heard it on CNN. CNN was like he had pounds. And then I heard it on ESPN or some other news source, and they said he just had a grinder. He took his grinder with him, and the grinder had a little bit of weed. That's what I heard later in the day. First, whatever I heard first said he had a bunch of weed. But then later I heard that he had a grinder and the weed, some weed was in the grinder. So that's not going to be nothing but a ticket. I don't care what state he's in. He in Texas? Yeah, that's nothing. But the National News Service, don't really hit them like they be hitting them brothers. Oh, the moon. Oh, let me tell you guys. The moon's got that thing where the rainbow light come out of the moon. What do they call that? Is there a name for that? I can't even think. The radiance. Like the moon tonight is radiant. And I found an excellent place near my house where I'm gonna talk to the neighbors to see. Hopefully, maybe not until next month though. I want to get a telescope, or maybe if I can even fix the neighbors. But I found a perfect vantage point because the super moon could be seen for quite a while. So again, I live up on a hill. Where we live is like up on a hill, which is good because we live near a lake. If it ever flooded, it'd never come up here. We'd just be trapped. But the moon is whatever. What is that called when the moon is radiant? The moon is radiant. Hey, so thank you for joining me. Um, John McAfee. Ben Simmons' dad played high level, didn't he? Wonder if his dad knew some people. Look, he probably did. He probably like Tony Parker's dad. They never would say his name, or I only heard it a few times. But Tony Parker's daddy was a brother from America that was playing over in France. Like I think right now my cousin is coaching in Belgium, Germany or Belgium, and he had lived over there as a child. It's fluent German, whatever the Belgian people speak. I know he's fluent German. But that's the thing is like he wasn't developed right, and people used to get on me about Zion, saying because I was like, show me some mid-range game. All they showing is this dude dunking. And Zion now he played AAU, but his high school was the lowest of the low. He playing against 6-foot centers. He didn't play in the top South Carolina. And read my soul. If you ever see this, let us know, because he lives down there in South Carolina. Let us know what, because from what I understand, that Christian league there was one of the lower leagues. If anybody knows that, say it. But my thing is the same thing is Zion's coaches, parents let him down because they didn't develop enough of his game. How does he play in AAU games? This is the point, and I think if people say what's lost in AAU, this is what's lost. AAU is for you to develop. It's for you to play your school season, and then when you have the free time, develop on what would make you an individually better player. Not put a super team together, but to really develop young players and put you in different pressure scenarios. That's what it's for. And that's what, if you're a parent, that is what you should be looking for. And it's a lot of favoritism. It's a lot of who got the money, putting the money on the team and stuff. Do they have children? Do they have favorites? That does come with it. We had a young dude. What's his name? McDaniels, I want to say. He had came from California. He had made like second team, I think, All-American as a high school boy, as a sophomore, or I think it's a sophomore. And he moved to Battle Creek. Soft player, very soft. You could tell that's what he was used to. Shane Battier. So Shane turned out somebody. I remember Shane. Yeah, Shane. So Shane got put, because I want to say Shane's from Michigan too. I could be wrong, but Shane, I think, came from Michigan. But this guy played on a European traveling USA team, but Shane was the man. And so this dude knew, and then they told him going in, like his coach, like, this is going to be Shane's team. So you get to be involved, but it's Shane's team. And so he played with Shane around the country. Yeah, because I can remember somebody won, and then Shane Battier's team was waiting for him the next weekend. They was like, I don't know why y'all happy. Y'all ain't going to beat Shane next week. I forgot about that. Oh. Anise, thank you for joining me. Sebastian, did I say what's happening? Any UFOs are real shit in the night sky, your time? I'll say the weirdest kind of person in the sky. I've said this before. There's some entity that lives over where these mugs live, the casino. There's some entity that's over there. I physically watched this dude do the Wonder Woman no plane kind of deal. He had the no plane kind of deal. I watched the dude flying over to the reservation. And I've said this before. And I was closer. Like, I lived a little further away back then. Like now, it probably take me with this, I don't know, the roundabouts, maybe 15, 13 minutes. Whereas then, about 7 minutes. I lived that much closer to it. So I had a good vantage point. And there was a dude flying in the air. I mean, he wasn't flying very high. I could see him, so he obviously wasn't very high. He was like cloud, like cloud link or cloud up. He was up high as the clouds, but I saw him like I don't even know why I hung outside so much. that I just be outside. I just had a vantage point, and I was looking at where the casino is. I guess because it's a big, they got one of them big pillars, trying to get some solar energy with that shit that don't do shit. But and I saw this dude just flying in the air. I mean, like sitting on something though. He was sitting down, but he was like moving through the air, and I was like quite amazed. And then some kind of way, I think he saw that I noticed him, and then he hid behind clouds. And even when he was like behind the clouds, he kind of like slowed his movement. But for a point, I could see him still in the cloud. So far as that kind of experience, that's probably the most I could ever say, just flying like that. Never really, I mean, it's like they invented jets in the 1940s. Keep that in mind. And the first time a jet went by American, what do you think they thought that thing was? They didn't know what it was. The first jet to go by American plane. So it's the technology. A lot of these technologies been around for a long time. So, and again, the movie I talked about on Netflix with the synthetics, that's what they want to do. They're going to have, it's going to be nothing but military. If they ever have this, because that's what predictably, if you predict anything, you can see they want to put that UFO shit in. And see, maybe that'll be their reason to say the takeover. It's not us, it's them, when it really be, Yeah, Shane is from Michigan, yeah. Shane is from around Grand Rapids, I want to say too. No. I want Shane. Wow. I don't quite remember, but I don't think Shane was from Detroit. Cause I saw. Okay, cause I know I saw him play the game before. So I saw Shane play the game before the people that was talking shit that last game. So Shane and them beat somebody, and then I saw the next game. That's right. And then Shane and them team played. They played. Those two teams ended up playing, and I don't know if I went to that game. Maybe I did. I saw Shane play a lot. Now I think about it. I mean, all the hoopers. Like Sinbad went to Benton Harbor, and we saw. We saw some dudes that could play. It was a dude named not Robert Traylor. No, this cat was. Man, what was his name? Robert something. But this cat was 6'8", had signed in 10th grade to go to Missouri. The Utah Jazz coach used to coach at Missouri. I think he got in trouble at Missouri. Robert, it wasn't Tractor Trailer. His name was something. Robert Whittam. What was his name? This cat was 6'8", could go. I don't know if he made All-American, but he was going to go play with Quentin when he was at Missouri. His senior year, this dude had sex with her like an 8th grade. And the whole next year, he was fighting. Lost his scholarship. He ended up at Cincinnati. The West Virginia coach brought him into Cincinnati. He played for a couple teams. I have to get this cat's name, but he's from Benton Harbor. Robert Willie. I can't think of his name. But I'll have to look his name up. But Robert Willie, but he played a couple. He's on Facebook too. He played a couple years of pro. But anyway, at this dude's peak, they ran into a team out of Flint. This is Benton Harbor. Benton Harbor's guards was all state, and this cat was all state. But they ran against that boy from Flint. And like where I was sitting was all mostly people from Benton Harbor. And I think my cousins was there. I was probably sitting next to my uncle because my uncle lived in Benton Harbor. Sinbad was sitting like in the stands over here. He was up in there. But I won't say, I don't know what Butter and them know. But I remember my uncle was there. I think I was sitting near my uncle too. But there was this brother that was supposed to go to Ohio State. And his girl was going to Ohio State. So I don't know that this must have been, I have to look that up. But it was like both the boyfriend, because at first, matter of fact, it seemed like the girlfriend had opted out to go into Ohio State. And he was stuck at Ohio State. I forget the story. But anyway, this brother from Flint, I might have been Flint Northern or Flint Central. Shoot, he took them to the hoop one time, and this 6'8" dude, this dude was about 6'7" slinky, and he just yoked baseline. And then when he came down, all these Ben Howard fans was right there. And it's like this dunk was like game too. He just looked at them all and just shook his head to all the Ben Howard fans, and the place is going crazy. But I saw a lot of good young basketball, a lot of good players. Oh, starting to believe this whole COVID thing is a selection process. So just old man stories. Here we go. That could be Sosa. Could be. Spiritual IQ test. It could be. Could be seeing. Well, I think another thing too, though, is this thing is fading. Something about this thing is fading, and that's the problem. That's the desperation. Something about this thing that moves everything is fading. It is losing its strength, and the people are coming back into their own. Now, I've said how they are. What did they show you in Planet of the Apes? If they don't rule, they'll want to kill it all. I mean, really, this is who we're dealing with. If they can't rule, they would rather destroy the whole planet than them not rule. That's what we're facing. These people, it is not in their psyche not to rule. And to them, not ruling means all of it's got to go. All of it's got to be reset. Was ever going to put them back ahead. That's who we're dealing with. This is what they believe. They showed it to you in the movies. Planet of the Apes is a prime example of how the least educated beings, the least technological beings, was able to overcome everything. I mean, who do you think the movie Planet of the Apes is about? But that's a part of it. Could be so. I think of my work and everyone thinking and speaking the same, getting it. Interesting. ATM, no one thinking about it. What's up with Gematria 208? We know Zach. We know Zach. Zach is always welcome here. Any people with him, we know it. Just doesn't make sense. Suppose I think they want to know we are being fooled, so we can revolt and lead by a false leader. Maybe the good point, Sosa. Could be. They wasn't that good when he was there. Even the LSU made it in the NCAA tournament 1 year he was there. And yeah, he wasn't good at all. Wasn't good at all. And that's what we're seeing. And like even my thing of Gallinari, I mean, he did make a good move and show he has a few dribble skills for separation, but you should. I mean, you are practicing against the best every day, so you should learn some of these skills. But that was about it. He ain't do none of them moves to go to the basket. If I'm 6'10" and a dude 6'5" on me, I'm moving around him. But when you just a dude just looking to shoot jumpers and your skill is just out there, you got small forward game. You can shoot, small forwards can shoot threes, but if you've got a small forward game and all you're doing is looking to shoot threes, I mean, you're limited. You're limited. You're limited. And American players don't get the chance to be limited is my whole thing. They do not get the chance that Giannis got. I mean, even looking at the 2 number 1 picks with Shadi and Giannis. Shadi was more skilled. Giannis 6'10", but more skilled. They came in more NBA prepared. Shadi was more NBA prepared. But Shadi didn't get 7, 8 years. Then they picked the dude from Villanova, Valanciunas, whatever his name is. It's a shorter Shadi. Shorter Shadi. I watched Shadi play a bunch of times. We go to the Target Center with his daddy. His daddy's funny. His daddy get it on. I like his daddy. We have drinks up in there. Get it on before we go in there. I like his daddy. Shadi daddy's cool. But my point is, Shadi didn't get all them years. Giannis got to get better. Giving him private instructors, work on his body, work on his game. A lot of American players don't get that chance. I remember Giannis going back year after year after year having to be in the rookie league. Bucks put Shotty in the rookie league 3 years. Shotty's like one of the all-time leaders in the rookie league in Vegas. He went there 3 years or 4 summers. They ain't do that to Giannis. So that's somebody fucking with Shotty. Like it's what they did to Shotty is the same thing when with Kwame Brown talking about working him out 2 hours before a game. That was humiliating him. That was humiliating. And I'm right. Shotty was out of the lottery. He was the 15th pick, if I remember right. He wasn't in the lottery. But that's my point is these other cats get all these opportunities. American players don't get them. So, and so it's no hatred, but my point is give everybody the same opportunity. Quit trying to just push them on people. Quit trying to hype them up because that's all they are. And I'm saying that Zion got the same hype, limited game. Let's be honest. But Zion worked on his strength, getting by people. It don't matter if you build a wall. He can still get by you because of the handles. Giannis' handles is very stiff. He ain't really, he like they showed, he can't go through 3 dudes guarding him. He ain't even got a good pull-up game. Zion is like Adrian Denton. Get inside, and then can you get up with me and I can shoot it high enough to get it off of everybody. That's the difference in the games. Zion ain't going to have to keep strong in everybody. What's going to happen to Giannis when he can't just jump and dunk as swiftly? What's his game going to turn into? I mean, I could see him being like Karl Malone, going to get all the fouls, put him on the line. They put Young on the line a lot too. I bet Young shot 10 free throws. Bet you anything, Young shot 10 free throws tonight. He's a throw it up to get fouled. Zion says an MK after I believe they produced a Disney movie about his life. Yeah, Gray, I caught that. I caught a little bit about that. Yeah. And probably turned into that, probably turned into that. That's why I wonder why they keep his brother around. His older brother shouldn't be in the league. Neither one of his brothers should be in the league. And it's because of this exception and because of this agenda. And we don't hear LeBron speaking about that. He talking about Black Lives Matter. They ain't got nothing to do with it. And giving them money and supporting them. But not even talking about his own brothers. And Paul ain't gonna talk about him either. I mean, Trae Young, look, this is the character Trae Young is playing. Trae Young is playing Curry, both Currys, and he's playing Dame. You see, they want the little man to still shine. So all little men think they still got a chance. So he's just the character this year. We saw that character again. The worst scripting ever was when Curry was winning, their team was winning in the first half. And then he wouldn't even have to play in the fourth quarter. That shit, it was some of the worst basketball to ever watch. It was really like the game, what was it called? Blubber? What was it called? Blubber, the Disney movie where the stuff just bounced and bounced. It looked like that kind of basketball. He could just throw it over any shoulder and make it from everywhere. That's how ridiculous it looked. Like Jerry West shot every time. Jerry West shot almost from the other half, the other top of the key. He was 2-3 steps in front of his top of the key. That's how that year looked for Curry, making them kind of shots every time, shooting a high percentage. Some of the worst basketball ever. Motionless. Even when he shows emotion, he still looks emotionless, like it's very forced. Blake Griffin game will come for Zion. What's cool with Griffin though is I see your point. He's learned. He's learned once those jumping skills, you got to find another way. And Blake was actually on defense ain't bad. What's my thoughts on psychedelics? This can get you psychedelics. So, I mean, like if you're talking about shrooms or LSD or what is it called? The other stuff, something. if you can get the stuff, I would say mushrooms would be the easiest thing to trust. LSD is a hard thing to judge. I mean, you really never know with that stuff. Um, it can enhance you. It can enhance you. But the problem is if you just like think you're going to cheat the process, they're not going to really help you cheat the process in the way you think. It's like, it's almost like seeing a movie and you not really understanding the movie. It is almost like that in some ways. It's like what happens is, see, when you take things like this, the way the fractals present themselves, the way this other reality, these other layers present themselves, they present themselves almost like kaleidoscopes. You know how you can make kaleidoscopes come in and out? That's kind of how it's presented to you. It's like even beings come to you, and if you can't catch that kind of thing, it's like you looking at a Disney movie when you got real 3D like right behind you. It's almost like that. You'll miss a lot of what's coming at you. So, I can bring this in, and it's like I take this She Legit stuff, and what it does, and I'll say one thing that makes it impactful is it punches a hole in this. It's like you can meditate and you can only get so far sometimes. This stuff seems to punch a hole and push it further, like when using on a consistent basis. It's like every time, you don't even have to be that turned on, but every time it just pushes through all of it. And it really gets you far as you can go. Like every time it just opens it all up for you. My point is it's like the other night, I put this in my notes. Another fairy visited me, and we was just in the same zone, and she was just like, beautiful smile. And a lot of times they want to let you know that this kind of energy is around you. So if you need it, it's around you because we love you what your heart is. And so I'm not against it, but I'm saying like mushrooms is a good start. Stay home. If you're going to trip, stay home. Don't try to, get funky and go around. Be in a controlled environment. You don't want to see some shit that just freak you out. They're trying to drive on this shit. I can't say everybody's cut for that. So do it. Stay at home. Take care. You think psychedelics were prevalent back in the Stone Age to enhance society and consciousness? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like the Americans learned about the frogs and the mushrooms a long time ago. Even bud comes from South America. So it's like a long history of all of them using this stuff. I mean, it comes pretty obvious that there was an advance known, and not just like when I say that when the Spanish and them came, it appeared like it was an advanced society that was able to stay away from these motherfuckers. I mean, that's what it seems like. It seems like the highest society was able to get away, or they came down and went back up. And I mean, they're still around, but they can't mess with them. And that's why I've talked about that LiDAR stuff. So this is especially in the Americas. I mean, again, the pyramids was started here. Don't be tricked by the Tibetans. It was started here. They learned that math. Their oldest god is an American god. Their oldest god is an American god, and even Manly P. Hall, you can find that in his book. When he talks about Hathor, he says it's the direct copy of the goddess Mu, which guy wrote the whole book about talking about an island. It's all everything. Has everything. Move. So so yeah. 208 says the election came down to Georgia Hawks and Arizona Suns. Not saying it's going to be the finals, but it would be guessed before those teams would be here at this point. It's all rigged. I'll say this. They would rather have Atlanta compared to Milwaukee. No one wants to go to Milwaukee. And I mean no one. So the reporters don't want to go to Milwaukee. I mean, no one wants to go to Milwaukee. People would want to go to Atlanta. So people would definitely want to go to Atlanta for the finals. So that would be my prediction too, because just of that fact right there. They would rather be in either, they would rather, they don't want to be in Milwaukee. But they would love Los Angeles and Atlanta. They would love that. Los Angeles and Atlanta. They would like Los Angeles and Atlanta more than they would like Phoenix or Arizona and Atlanta. That would be, to me, the most attention getting and where people want to go. People ain't gonna want to definitely come to Milwaukee. Milwaukee is just Milwaukee. Nice place, really nice place. But one thing about Wisconsin, you just can't get away with. The ugliest people in America live in Wisconsin. If you guys didn't know that, I've told this many times. I worked almost 20 years, almost every weekend around Chicago, Wisconsin, and 20 years of seeing ugly children with ugly parents. So I came to that conclusion that ugly people must be the most in Wisconsin. I mean, I did games around the country, and I just didn't see as many ugly people as I would see when I was in Wisconsin. And that is not cap. It wasn't a lot of handsome people in Wisconsin. But they're beautiful as they feel. Like Ali told the girl was talking shit, talking about Ali always saying she wanted Ali to say that he was the greatest. And he was like, well, he said, are you the prettiest? And she ain't saying that. He says, I want you to say, I am the prettiest. So she's talking shit. She said, I am the prettiest. And Ali leaned over the mic and said, you a lie. Oh, the whole gym just busted up. Then he made up. He was just joking. But it was good thinking on his feet. Good thinking on his feet. She said, I am the prettiest. And he said, you a lie. It was like the joke I told my grandfather. I am in a jovial mood tonight. My grandfather was a very gruff person. My grandfather was in World War II. My grandfather was about 5'5", maybe. In the Navy, shot down in a boat twice. He was a cook. And Cap, you know what they did to brothers back then. They made you clean up or cook. You saw the Tom Hanks movie. He had a brother, got killed, and they sent him a new one. Remember that on the ship movie? Brother was his personal, bring him the food and bring him new clothes. But anyway, this is my grandfather. My grandfather could have, maybe, possibly killed a dude, him or his father. My grandfather was a pretty gruff guy. So I'm in my 30s or maybe 40s, and I'm feeling pretty good. And my grandfather was a great threatener. He would just threaten people, he was a great threatener. And so I was sitting there and I said some shit that, I'm just kind of tripping anyway. I'm like, I said some shit to him. He said, I'll jump over this table and smack you. And I looked at him and I said, you'll fly back. I know I've told this a week or two ago, but shit's funny. I said, you will fly back. He didn't know what to say because people just didn't ever challenge him like. And I was joking, but it was a perfect joke for what he was saying. It was perfect. But that's the kind of thing. Thinking on your feet. Arizona fits the agenda though. Valentine's Day, birthday, the Great Reset was synced with Valentine's Day. Sun doing good. Now was in Arizona. That's a good point. Yeah, physically ugly, not ugly acting people. I mean, not very attractive people. Fans ticket would cost. I am in Georgia. Depending on where you sit. and the numbers right now it look like some. What was that tonight? Baseball? What was it tonight? I was watching something full. Oh, hockey game. Tampa Bay, New York. They was playing up in New York. So this was game 6. And New York won tonight. So game 7 is going to be in Tampa Bay Wednesday. Going to the NHL. We down to the semifinals. But it was packed. So it depends where you want to sit. I would say start looking to see if that might be open, but that would be the most money. LA, and Atlanta compared to Milwaukee, anywhere. I mean, again, they did let that lose all that money by letting the Spurs win them years. But 2 of them years was with LeBron. Well, LeBron beat them once and they beat LeBron once. So LeBron carried it. It's like even when LeBron lost, he carried the playoffs. He carried the finals. So that's what people don't understand. Look at how many times LeBron been there. Win, lose, people watch to see LeBron. So win, lose, they still seeing LeBron in the finals. And Jordan played only in 6. There's a reason he didn't play in the rest of them. Hey, Sean, thank you for joining me. Yeah, it depends where you sit, though. If you ordered early enough, and depending where you sit, I mean, probably like if you wanted to sit under the basket, you might be looking at between 5. You know, if you want to sit on the lower level, you're probably looking at 5 on up. Just depends. Courtside would be crazy though. I always like sitting in booths. You know, really sitting up in the boxes. I really like sitting in the boxes because the boxes have, like, especially at the Target Center, the boxes is the most comfortable because you can sit like they got stadium seats in front of the boxes. So if you want to sit like that and watch the game, you on like the second, like a level all by yourself almost. When you sitting like where the boxes is, that's almost a level to itself because you can't get in there. Like you can't get into where the area of the boxes is. It's like heavy security. You ain't going just up in there. It's all blocked off. You got to have the cards and the tickets. You know, they give you when you sit in there, they give you a card thing, and they give you a ticket. But you got your own personal person bringing you food, bringing your drinks. It's the best to me. I used to like sitting in there. One of our friends was like one of the servers. He was serving up the boxes, and we would be at some games, and corporations would have that shit, and he'd come get us. He's like, halftime, like they left, and they left all this food. Come on, we would go sit in the box and eat up the food. He'd get us in there. So we'd walk in there with him. Oh, those were the good days. I mean, people would trip when I would go to Michigan to tell them how fun it was here in Minnesota. I was going to all the games. I mean, it's times we would go to doors and know a security person, and he would just bust out our tickets, and we'd start handing tickets back. We weren't even looking where we were sitting. We were just getting them. And I remember one time it was 8 people with us, and he only had 7. And like the 7th person stood up. But like I got me and my friend from Michigan that came with me. And then he's like, oh, and he gave him a ticket. so, you know, that's how we used to see a lot of the games. You think the Suns end up blowing the lead? I don't think so. They shoot too well. And one thing I love about Booker is the mid-range game, because this of all basketball, this has been ignored the most. Like I talk about Adrian Dantley, but like you looked at a dude named Phil Chenier. Phil Chenier killed you with a mid-range game. Almost, he was one. Phil Chenier was probably the only one used to, other than Earl Monroe before New York gave it to, but Phil Chenier used to give it to Walt Frazier. Especially Walt was a little older. Phil Chenier, he couldn't stop his mid-range game. I mean, if you looked at Bernard King, that's basically why he killed him. He killed baseline either side, but mid-range game. And this is what the three-point game taught people not to work on. Everybody working on their threes, but working on that consistent mid-range shot. I mean, look at the shots Booker takes and the separation. I like that they're allowing that, because they kind of killed that too, but I like that they're allowing that. And this is what I don't like about the agenda. Okay, you push Curry all these years on everybody, but then you bring Giannis and Giannis back to dunking. You try to do away with dunking kind of dudes, but yet you bring Giannis, and then Giannis can't fit. Giannis can't fit the his three. You know we on him when they show him trying to shoot threes because he's not the guy. And you think of Lopez didn't shoot any. Then the year after he's shooting 300 threes. Who does that? Who does that? I mean, that's not believable. It's Suns and the Bucks of finals. Suns play the Bulls. Milwaukee is 1 hour and 30 minutes from Chicago. There's your 13. Get down. It's the Suns and the Bucks finals. It's going to be a horrible finals thing because ain't nobody going to be in Milwaukee. But we've seen it not often. We ain't seen it since Jabbar days. I set up facts. I've set up in boxes at rugby games down here in Australia. By far the best. Oh, yeah. I've even been in the new Vikings place. They're 250,000 in the stadium, but they're nice. You have about 15, 20 people in them. And they got couches in them mugs. Where the Vikings boxes, and then they got one box that's on the field level. That box is real sweet. The nosebleeds NBA game like end zone seats in the NFL, worst seats. Yeah. That's what's so funny. Like, that's the difference between a football stadium and a basketball arena. When you sit up, like I told this story before, my friend Tony's wife had worked at Target. The first time we saw San Antonio play, with Tim Duncan was still there, everybody was still there, and he got us free tickets. So I took the boys. He got his 2 children, so and then my 2. I don't think my oldest son went. Maybe he did. So it was about 6, 7 of us went, but we sat up high. And then a year later, because of my ex-girl, we got floor seats. We were sitting behind one of the benches. So but sitting up there, sitting up high in a basketball game, the players really look like ants. In football stadiums, it's not so bad sitting up high. Now, the Twins, somebody gave me free tickets. I sat up high. It's not that it's bad, but all that swaying up in there, that's some dangerous feeling shit to me. I wouldn't even want to sit in the outfield seats because of that shit above. Because when you sit up there, you feeling this. It's like when each person walk, you feeling everybody walking up and down the stairs. After doing that for one game, I would never do that again. It just don't feel safe. So football, it's not so bad being in the uppers, but basketball is almost impossible. You're there, but it's better watching on TV. And when it's -10, it's way better watching on TV. The Braves and Dodgers in baseball. So the NBA could have the Hawks versus Clippers. That would be, to me, that would make the most money. Braves, yeah, the Braves and the Clippers would gain the most national interest. Everybody don't like Giannis. People like looking for LeBron. They still ain't said LeBron is out of the Olympics yet, but we'll see. I still don't see the point of Space Jam. The clothes are cool. I talked about that last week. The clothes are cool. I like the Space Jam stuff. Really well done. I'll say that. Really well done. Something to have fun with. When Booker and Young combined for 81, now they about to play. There you go. Yep, that's right. Now they about to play in the finals. Could be. Really could be. They're going to harvest Suns fans' energy. They build them up just to bring them down. I think, I want to say when the Suns' first year with Connie Hawkins, he took them to the playoffs. They eventually lost to the Lakers that made the finals, but Connie played well. Connie played so well. Again, everybody's favorite basketball player when they voted was Connie, not Charles Barkley. The all-time favorite son was Connie Hawkins. They had put a big building-sized picture of him before he passed, because he passed fairly early. He was in his 70s. Cedric Maxwell has the most random finals MVP, even so. Cedric Maxwell was the first Karl Malone. Cedric, can I get a foul? Maxwell couldn't jump. Long arms, though. I'll say that. He had extremely long arms. He came from that same conference where Steph came from, but he came from whatever College of Charlotte. It used to be called the one. What is it called? It's called what was it called before? Was because it's called something else before. Slavic shit. It was called Charlotte, Coastal Charlotte, or something like that. It's got another name now, but that's where he came out of. And he got the lucky to play with Larry Bird, McHale, and Chief Parrish. He got to play with them. They kicked Sidney Wicks and Curtis Rowe out, brought in him, and he fit because he ain't really want the ball, but his game was definitely get a foul. It's like when he was playing with Bird, it was like get a foul Maxwell. So not really playing, but get a foul. Trae Young also be a villain like Reggie Miller, possibly, because you see they got him but see, that was the same role Luka was doing. You know, the spoiled dude who don't get the call, start tripping, getting text called on him. Trae Young is being, he could be. They ain't never let Reggie win shit though. The Hawks are better actors. Hawks might win. They've been hyping the Suns up so much, even though they're not that. It makes sense for them to collapse. I think they beat Clippers, so they might collapse, might be versus the Hawks. Interesting. Could be, homie. That's something we got to consider. The Hawks are better actors. Suns never winning the title. I don't think so either. I don't think either. I don't think either team that hasn't won it will win. I just don't see them changing that. I don't see them changing that. Again, I've said the special exception that they gave to Toronto playing the very first game. So under those circumstances, you got to see why they gave that to Toronto. To giving it to these teams, they just don't move like that. They like to keep the former. If you won one, that's who they like to win it again. That's just how they like running. And we've seen that kind of thing over and over again. Yeah, it tastes good. No cap. I hate everybody on that Suns team, and I hate those snotty nonprofit, which makes it no damn sense. The NBA is technically nonprofit, which makes no damn sense at all. No, it really wouldn't be. I love seeing Giannis come up short. Man was getting. Oh yeah, but Holiday. Look at how many of them shots he got help with. That was helping Holiday shots. I was like, look at this. All of a sudden, this dude that blew up. He blew up in their last series when the game was getting good. He was blowing up. But that 24 for the Lakers, or excuse me, for the Bucks, he blew up tonight because he had one just like Harris had. And I'll say this, they've been talking about Harris too. You know, Harris finished the league with the best three-point percentage, and he blows up when he's wide open. How do you explain that? You have the best percentage of any three-person in the league, and for the money, you can't hit. So they've been giving that business to Harris too, for Harris choking. And all season, Harris making 5, 6 threes a game, and he can't hit an open three. So number 24 was the same way for the Bucks tonight. A European dude wearing 24. Homie said he predicted. Okay, 9% of money is on Milwaukee to win series. Yeah, that's what I saw too. And that could be the thing too. Is like, do they go sweep forward? You know, that's what Shaq and them did to Iverson. Can they sweep forward? I think this is a little better athletic team. I'll say if they keep Lopez in there, anytime Lopez is in there, I would with Giannis together. There's no way they're going to be able to play them together because of team speed. Because neither one of them, they'll pick it. One or the other is going to have to do pick and roll, and neither one can handle it. So we'll see. Neither one can really handle it. Lorenzo Sosa said the Suns cost them $1,000 this year. Yeah, Hawks won at 58. Yeah, I was wrong. I said they 59, but they beat Bill Russell. That had been Russell's second season, because I think Bill Russell won his first season, and then they lost to the Hawks the second season. Then they won it like 8 years in a row, because they won it from 59 to 67 is when Wilt and them beat them in the Eastern Conference Finals. When Wilt finally beat them in the Eastern Conference Finals. Yeah, because that's who knocked Wilt out every time would be the Celtics. And that's like how long it's been fixed. Look at the game where they was about to beat them. Bill Russell had threw, there was a line that went through, and the line was declared out of bounds before the game, and Bill Russell threw the ball and hit this electrical line. And so there it is, their ball. You got Wilt Chamberlain standing there that could damn near touch the top of the backboard. And Wilt is damn near on the lane where you line up for the fouls with his hand in the air. But yet you throw the ball out where Havlicek tips the ball out and Sam White gets it or Sam Jones gets it. You got Wilt that can't nobody jump high as he can go. All you got to do is throw it up so high you don't hit that wire. And Wilt's going to destroy Bill Russell for one-on-one, for one shot. But no, they don't do that. They throw it out, try to throw it to Chet Walker. So that's how long they've been fixing games. But watch that game where Bob Pettit killed Bill Russell. He had like 59, 60 on Bill Russell too. I think, okay, they won at 58. I think he scored 58. You guys can look that one up. I forget the numbers, but it was 50-something. He scored 50-something, and they talk about how Russell's good defense. Yeah. He wasn't good in the finals. Bob Pettit put it on his ass. And Bob Pettit had that game, short range, mid-range game, run up and down the court at 6'9". Bob Pettit in the NBA. The traction to the back, rolling around the rim, aren't damning proof for the manipulation theory. When you shoot, most of the time you're aiming for the back, and shots often roll around the rim. Most of the time you're aiming for the back. I don't know if I agree with that, because some people, their point of aim would be the front of the rim. Now, yes, some people could say the back. People have asked me that. I just look at rim. Now, if I have to bank it, depending on where my body is, but I never looked at either of that. But the way they roll in now, and again, that's their new system. The other system was bounce, 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 bounce. So the new system is roll. I mean, they can still use this is the thing to understand. They can still do the bounce, bounce too, but the new system prefers to roll it. And I noticed when it rolls it, it comes off one of the ends. Like they never roll it and let it come off like it rolls and then should come off the front. Doesn't appear to do that. It appears that once it rolls one side once it starts to roll, it's going to land on the sides. So something you guys can watch to see if you see a different. Julio went to the Titans wearing number 2. Oh, Julio he's going to wear number 2. Interesting. Yeah, you do. You got to look at all the possibilities, definitely. Ain't no way he won those 8 straight legit. They almost lost so many times. Lakers, Wilt couldn't finish the job off at least like that. Oh, and then, Jerry, like they showed a game where Jerry West scored damn near 50-something points. And then Elgin Baylor, like that's who Michael Jordan, when Michael Jordan scored 63, Elgin Baylor has scored 58 or 60 against the Lakers in the finals. Boston. He played with the Lakers. Elgin Baylor scored 60 at small forward. They list him at a small forward, but if you watch his game, he plays more of a power forward game. Again, Elgin Baylor averaged something like 18 and 20, something like that rebounds. Or his rebounds was like 15 plus at small forward, which shows you he wanted the ball. He wanted the ball. He had a good, leaping, of course, helps. They had the clock stop at 8:06 for Hank Aaron. Oh, Tiger Storm, that's a good catch. What's happening? Thanks for joining me. Philly is known as the city of brotherly love. Atlanta is known as showing a lot of brotherly love. That's a good point. I can show you slow-mo videos of game-winning buzzer beating curving in the hoop, man. Oh, yeah. I've been seeing that. Like I said, my best video is the one that Zach showed and shared of my work. He shared one of my videos, and it's probably one of his channels that was taken down, but it did 100 million, or excuse me, it did 100,000 views. That was the best of ever of one of my shows, was showing that shot of Dame over Paul George. It clearly curved. And then my second best one was when Andy Dalton got hit. That was my old channel. It did 62. That channel got me that show alone got me something like $800. I ain't bragging or nothing, but that's where it's Moray's getting real money. The best center ever, I say, I like Wilt because Wilt was a force that we really didn't see. Now, longevity, you got to look at Jabbar. Jabbar, like I say Wilt because Wilt was the most complete center. Wilt could block shots. Wilt averaged, when he averaged 50 points, he averaged 25 or 30 rebounds a game. I'm going to say this again. When Wilt averaged 50 points a game, he averaged something like 25 or 30 rebounds too. That will never be done again. I mean, that's getting it. So complete player, I get a nod to Wilt. Wilt was more of a complete player. Now, if you look at where Jabbar comes in, the most dominant player really ever in the highest scorer is clearly the Jabbar and the sky hook. It is the most dominant one shot in the history of the game. The only person I ever saw block it was Wilt. When it was like Kareem's second year. It was the most dominant shot of anybody, of any time. I would almost say just no one has scored as many points dunking as he scored with the sky hook. So if anybody says no to dunk is, no. Look at who the all-time scorer is. And the majority of his points came from the sky hook. So, and just, I would say not quite as many shot blocks. Again, a lot of Wilt's shots wasn't counted as far as shot blocks. Decent defender, shot blocker, great rebounder too, great passer. Wilt didn't develop that till later in his career. Kareem, again, having to play with Magic helped him a lot, but playing with Oscar, he ran a lot of screen roll with Oscar. I know y'all probably ain't old enough to remember that. So those are the two best ever. Now, if you look at like other things incorporated, you can go down the list of who contributed to the center position. And again, I've talked so much that the three-point shot wasn't meant to get rid of centers, and that's what's happened. When the ABL in 1960 played in their first league, where Connie Hawkins was banned from the NBA in college, was forced to play in that year with them, they put in that shot. It was just to gain attraction to pro ball. And then when the ABA started in 66, 67 season, they incorporated it, but they didn't invent it. It came from that prior league. And think about this. So the NBA started, at 47? If you look at 47 to 60, that wasn't that really big a period. 10, 14 years. So another league came in 60, and then another league came in 66. So you see how basketball's always been an evolving kind of thing. So now instead of them getting competition, they just bring a new team in instead of true competition. Because technically the Eastern League that Isaiah Thomas personally killed to set up the G League, was around before the NBA. It came in the mid or early 40s. It was the oldest pro league. Oh, but his finger roll too. Wilt had a nice finger roll. Wilt would do a free throw finger roll. It's weird that LeBron had his 42nd career triple-double game against the Knicks, and NYC is 42. LeBron is 42. LeBron's birthday is the 30th, right? Good one. Good decode, LG. Thank you. Damian Wizard buzzer beat over Paul was the most obvious manipulated shot ever. I didn't hear you. What did you say? You know that black stuff doesn't come off. You can rub and lighten and put all those lightening creams. It's not going to work on you.
You head's built like a big-ass watermelon.
It's not going to work. The lightening creams, quit listening to your mama.
You know your head's built like a big-ass watermelon.
Lightning creams is not going to work on you. Yeah, Lillard shot just clearly. Yeah, he had a decent fadeaway. They talk about Duncan's longevity. Say Shaq ain't last that long when Shaq was a superstar for 13 years. Duncan was only superstar for 8 years. Yeah, but I tell you what, the one person that I watched destroy Shaq, as far as Shaq couldn't guard him, was Duncan. I mean, that one couple years, he put it on him. I mean, you could see he put fear in Shaq's eyes on defense, and Shaq couldn't do nothing about it. You know, Duncan was just hitting them little close mid-range banks, but nothing Shaq could do. I mean, he would. I mean, it was like at Duncan's peak. Now, Shaq on defense, Shaq on offense was still a hell of a thing that Duncan couldn't really deal with, but Shaq could not. And it threw Shaq off offensively that Duncan put so much pressure because they was just feeding him. He was just destroying Shaq. I mean, Shaq like went for every little fake, every little, and Duncan was just destroying him. There was one player Shaq dreaded playing against. It was peak Duncan. Peak Duncan destroyed Shaq. And it was the only person I ever watched Shaq where Shaq seemed like, yeah, I don't like dealing with him. Trying to go up and do Wilt with jumps. Oh, Wilt would have knocked him down. And, you know, they say the two strongest players ever was Wilt and Kwame Brown. Wilt and Kwame Brown was reported the two strongest players that could just grab dudes and hold them, and these big dudes couldn't do nothing. Wilt broke what? Wilt separated, look up Gus Johnson, who was called stepping stuff. He would take one stuff and punch it. But Wilt grabbed him and threw him on the ground, and it tore his shoulder up. and Gus Johnson was 6'8", 240, 250. And Wilt just like, he told Gus, don't come to the hoop, and Gus came to the hoop, and Wilt kind of slammed him. And Wilt was one of the best athletes ever. One of the best athletes ever. And I'll say, you know, skill-wise, like steals and stuff and handles, he wouldn't have got away with a lot of stuff he did back then, of course. You know, better defense. But for once he got the ball, any age, Wilt could have dominated. But I'll say that for Jabbar. Jabbar could dominate today. Ain't nobody gonna stop that shot of his. 60 All-Star game and many All-NBAs. Yeah, he did. Your son is funny. Yeah, we go at it. No one could guard Olajuwon. Well, I'm going to say something that Craig Fax said that's a point. Houston Olajuwon wasn't nothing but a dunker. He could block shots, but he wasn't smooth. And remember, Georgetown beat him. Now, they got cheated definitely the year before. North Carolina State cheated them, it's no doubt. And they got kind of cheated the next year, too. But that shot, that Olajuwon wasn't great. The Olajuwon that played against Larry Bird and him wasn't great. That wasn't great Olajuwon. He wasn't doing that Ralph Sampson was the better player. It wasn't Olajuwon. It was Ralph Sampson. Olajuwon was he was a person that got the opportunity because, again, they were trying to bring them from anywhere. As long as they ain't from America, they bring them over. He's tall, bring him over. He didn't start playing basketball until he was 15, 16. Who gets the opportunity 15, 16, 17, 18, you get a full scholarship to Houston. You 6'8". He wasn't that tall. Olajuwon wasn't that tall. 6'8", 6'9", and that's Clyde Drexler saying that. 6'8", 6'9", not quite 16. So let's talk about early Olajuwon and why he got the opportunity and why they got rid of Ralph Sampson instead of Olajuwon. Remember, Ralph Sampson, they gave the shot, which was one of the early basket manipulated shots. But that wasn't a great Olajuwon that first went into the league. And let's tell the whole story. They don't win two unless Michael, they did whatever they did, suspend Michael, he retired, whatever you want to call it. They don't win any. I don't think they win any. So. Oh, that looks probably disgusting. I just chewed on it. So just keep that in mind. That Olajuwon. You got to consider his whole career. Now, I'll give it to him. Again, he had the best people. Soccer helped him develop footwork. His footwork he used for soccer, he was able to apply in basketball. So, and you applaud him. He worked on his game to get better. Exactly. Yep, nobody talks about him losing the bird in the finals. Right. They only made it other than that, 94, 95, because he wasn't on the team when they beat Sampson wasn't there too either. When Robert Reed and them lost, I think they beat Moses. Yeah, it must have been Moses was in Houston. And when they lost to Larry Bird in 81. And then when they had Ralph Sampson and Olajuwon, it was Ralph Sampson was the man, wasn't Olajuwon. Now Sampson was a little bit of injury prone too. Again, he blew his opportunity by not going to the Lakers. That was his opportunity. He had a chance to play with Kareem and Magic, and he turned it down to stay in college. So I don't really feel. And then Ralph Sampson got caught into. Y'all remember Ralph Sampson got caught into one of them condo schemes. Pay all these money and these condos don't never get built, and you thinking you're gonna make some money off the condos. And you could just tell these cats wasn't good businessmen. And I saw Ralph Sampson a couple years ago when the NCAA was here. We was there at the Minneapolis Convention Center, and Ralph was there. Grant Hill, Candace Parker. There's a bunch of players that was paid to be there and shit. Ralph he's still big as when I first saw him. I saw him in the Greensboro Coliseum when he was young. He ain't look much different, just way older. Oh, when I saw him, Ralph Sampson's son went to the U. He played for the Gophers for a couple years. So I went to a couple games. They want 2 black coaches in the finals. That could be a good point, Tiger Strong. That's a good point. Remember they had the 2 in the Super Bowl? Didn't start playing until he was like, exactly. And remember, B didn't even play his last year. A lot of ways, was it his back or really the skill level? But that's the thing is they get these dudes in school, put them in prep schools, and they get all this turnaround and all this chance to develop. But look what they did to Noel. Look what they did to Okafor. Now, remember, when Embiid got knocked out the first year of his playoffs, he was on one of them sorry Lakers centers. And yeah, he fouled him, but was no way you shouldn't have scored. Remember that first year he was a rookie? It came down to him having the ball against the Celtics, and he got fouled, and he couldn't make the basket. How weak he went by. But look at Noel. Look at Okafor. Look at how they've been bounced around the league. And then he get the backing of trust the process. They didn't get that. Okafor really didn't get that. So that's my point is they get coddled. Same thing when I started about Ben Simmons. Players getting coddled. Americans don't get that. So, and I think anybody got a talent should be able to use their talent. But my thing is you can't affirmative action the NBA, and that's what they've done. They've affirmative action the NBA to everywhere. Just bring them over. It don't matter their skill level. So you telling me that a 15-year-old in America that's been playing AAU since he was 10, and an African to just start or anywhere else just starts playing is as good as that 15-year-old in America. And what we've seen is that African will make it to the league or to a better college than that American boy that played AAU for 5 years. Now, where is that right? An American boy or young man is better at 15. Where is his chance to grow? Equal to these cats coming. Again, Ben Simmons would have been in America when they saw the way he played AAU, he would not have been pushed through. He would not have been pushed through the way he was pushed through. So his game ain't really changed. He's been playing like that. So Elton Brown was better at Embiid. I don't know. Because in a way, a lot of people say Elton Brand is a bust too. Elton Brand never lived up to being, he was one of the top picks, player of the year at Duke. Didn't him and Williams win a championship? And I always thought he was overrated too. I always thought he was overrated. And he didn't, I don't think he lived up to what people thought he was going to be. Very limited dude, no jump shot. Hartford, the Celtics getting back, that kind of game, but no three. No three. I mean, that kind of inside, I think he was only 6'8" too. So he had no really mid-range game at all go to the hoop. So I wasn't very impressed with him. So I don't know about that. I was never impressed because Brand was journeyman. He was a journeyman player, shipped around the league because he didn't have a lot of great skills in my eyes. And that's what I didn't like about Shasinski. Shasinski got the cleanest brothers he could find. Grant Hill, Ivy League parents. Daddy played pro ball, but he didn't look at Jalen Rose, who was 6'8", 6'9" point guard. He didn't even look at Jalen Rose. They looked at Chris Webber. Everybody wanted Chris Webber. But, yeah, they wanted Grant Hill instead of Jalen. And now Grant was a great thing. I mean, no doubt. I mean, that play Grant Hill made in the beginning of the NCAA game, you look at that play up and you see where he caught that ball. He caught that around the top of the square and brought it home. He brought that ball home. Zinc. I remember to leave this out tonight. I already got all my crystals lined up, and I shut these kind of the sound damper, but all my crystals are lined up. And then tomorrow, I guess I should talk about tomorrow. So tomorrow the plan is, I think I'm going to do a short thing outside with the Monocaster. I'll have to see how I can set up the camera and stuff and all the tables and spend a little time out there because the full moon actually comes in tomorrow at 2 in the afternoon. There better not be somebody with you. Another darkie. What did I tell you about bringing more darkies around? Don't you know anybody that's not darkies?
No.
Now, he's not as much as a darkie, but he acts like one. So that's the same thing to me. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, see, I wasn't trying to give you no taco last night. You would have came over here trying to get a taco. I was going to give you some of that business.
I got options.
Yeah, okay. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
You just getting on?
I got up at 10:30, something like that, to stay out for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
taking
good.
some medications.
Okay.
I checked with
Yeah, I think that was. Oh, all the water's. Most of the water is room temperature. I don't really drink cold water. This man really said 3 seasons wonders. Openbrand is better than Indeed. Okafor damn near out the league like Vaughn. Yeah. Lies big ass market is a possibility. Elton Brand didn't get the same treatment Embiid's getting now. All Brand could do was rebound. Yeah, he was a good rebounder. Not a bad off-ball defender. On-ball defender, too, because he was strong. Forever be known as the guy that let 81. I know. And they just let, what is his name? They just let Bosh. Didn't they elect Bosh to the Hall of Fame? Bosh was in that game, too. Bosh was in the 81-point game. Look the game up. Look it up. But Bosh is in that game, too. So they may say it was just on Jalen, but Bosh is on that team. And nobody talks shit about Bosh. And Bosh just got elected to the Hall of Fame, didn't he? But Bosh got 81 put on him, too.
Bro, you can sit it down.
Yeah, you the hawk.
Sit it down over
He's like in the middle of my living room holding this big-ass refrigerator. Like...
he just holding
it. He's like, well, till you bring me some water, I guess it's my job to just hold this motherfucker. Then he just let his eye. We just fucking with you. Hey, nothing can compare to Shitfoot. That is the funniest shit of anybody that has ever come around. When that boy stepped in like some horse shit and had the nerve to try to come up in my house with a horse shit shoe, and then ate some food after taking them shoes off and on. So we give Jacob the business.
Jacob.
Yes, we give him the business. Shitfoot. We call him Shitfoot. When we text him, we put Shitfoot. He'll give me a text and say Shitfoot.
You mean his contact Shitfoot?
Yeah, because that was some shit. I'm like, eating it. I'm like, damn, dude, did you wash your hands and shit? You touching that shitty shoe? He's like, well, I guess it's too late. Remember he said that? I guess it's too late now. As he shoved some more of that shit hand. We just have fun. B might be better, but Brand was averaging 30 in the playoffs against Phoenix. B can do that too, but gassed out it. Okay. That's okay. Wow. I didn't know that he was hot in the playoffs like that. Wow. Jalen Rose got one award his whole career, the most improved award. He probably now, yeah. I mean, yeah, you can look at him for what they anticipated. They didn't think he was going to be a journeyman player. I would say, like, I think he envisioned himself as good as Penny Hardaway. Because remember, Weber left after 2 years. Jalen and the coach from Michigan, I think they went pro the same year. Or did the coach from Michigan go the same year? Because remember what they did. They hurt Chris Webber his first 2 years. They separated his shoulder twice on purpose. His first 2 years, he got his shoulder separated the same way we saw Kevin Love get his shoulder separated on purpose. They hurt him for his first 2 years. That's why I'm surprised they let Weber make the Hall of Fame. I really am. But because really was his career, like his college career was Hall of Fame, because again, the Hall of Fame does consider your college career as well. But was Chris's career? I could like say the same thing about Chris Webber and having his NBA career being comparatively to what he was as a first round pick. Because his first 2 seasons he was hurt. Text to him just like this next time. Okay, Lorenzo. I remember last time he saw me, he said, I'll never live that down. I'm like, yeah, you're pretty much branded, buddy. But if I showed you his text, he'd be like, Shitfoot. But we all get along. It's just fuck when he can't forget that Kobe literally elbowed Mike Bibby in the face and got called, and Bibby got called for the foul. That was some of the worst ref dominating. It didn't even get to the point of basket manipulation because the referees were so bad. And remember, that was the same game. That was the same series where Rashad Wallace was getting fouls for looking at Ronnie Javi, the son. Because, that's another thing is they let families of officials be officials. Families of officials be officials. It's a dude who I saw one of the shows. His daddy was official. Ronnie Garrison. That was his name. Garrison, not Javi. But Javi was another one. I think Javi was on last night being the ref expert. But his daddy ref too. But Garrett, his daddy refed as well. But Ronnie Garrett was just looked at. And he called a tech on Rasheed Wallace because he said he's trying to intimidate me by his looks. And Stern backed him. Stern said no matter what, then black dudes look at you, you call techs on their ass. They ain't just looked at him. Remember, it's a tech called on Tim Duncan for just sitting there laughing at the refs. Remember, we got the ref. What was the ref's name that was the mafia told on people? He was the mafia rat, and the NBA gave him a job. He was the mafia rat, and the NBA gave him 30 years. And then to show how petty this motherfucker was, he was getting tickets for first-class seat, cashing them in, getting all the money back to fly coach, stealing for the NBA. And like if you read Donahay's book, what does Donahue say? The more fucked up a referee is, the higher they put him in supervision roles. If you read anything about Donahay's book, you get that. And them two, not Roddy Garrett, but definitely Javi was the same way. a bad official that they always was rising on. That's the important part to get out of Donna Hayes' book is that as you watch them dudes. But that's how that was. Yeah, that was one of the worst ever. That series. They was so wanted so Kobe and Shaq to be in it, like Scott Foster nowadays. uh, Scott Foster, like Scott Foster, that played with the Lakers. That his name? The Lakers went to. Did he play with Arizona somewhere when he played for college? That's Scott Foster or who? I guess I don't know that name. Well, let me do the divination. I didn't plan on. Oh no, because I'm not going to do the divination. Oh, it's all here, but I'm gonna skip the divinations tonight, and we'll do everything tomorrow. Yeah, I'm not gonna go much longer. Thank you guys for joining me, though. I appreciate it. But so look for me. I'm gonna see how I can do it because I'll probably have to start outside and then go off and then come back on here. And anybody that wants to participate in any full moon kind of tomorrow to being the last full moon of the or super moon of the year too. So keep that involved. Keep that in mind. So it's a great time to manifest. It's a great time to kind of, and it's like this when they have events like this. It's everywhere, but you just got to find it. So it's like this energy is everywhere during this release. You've got to find a way to grab it. And that's the thing. They make you think, they tell you about it because that's part of their job, but they don't tell you that everybody can plug into this and get something for you. And whatever this is, whatever you want to call this reality, there's something that does come from this. There is a little bit of energy that you can do. So I would give that. Oh, personal file. Oh, okay, I got you. Okay. Which Donna Hay book? The first one he released. This is a movie too. Netflix. I started watching a movie on Donna Hay. Netflix had a movie on Donna Hay. Yep. Well, thank you, James. Yeah, maybe it is in personal file. Let me see. Where's my glasses at? It is. Can I see it from here? Because it's on the shelf right here. I can't really tell where my glasses. You know, I ain't never going to them big giant glasses. I'm never going to them. Yeah, personal file. Yep. I'm never getting the super big glasses. The next pair of glasses I'm getting is going to be just like my old thicker rim glasses, but I'm never getting the giant ones, which I don't understand because in 1977, I used to wear them. We used to wear them without lenses in them. And so I just don't see the attraction of me having big giant glasses on like the Miles Davises. Y'all know what the Miles Davises was? Or the Kumo D's? You know, they wore the big shade. Yeah, that ain't going to be me. Well, thank you, Sean. I try to bring a little bit of it all. You know, that's the thing is you just can't be one-dimensional when no matter what kind of person you are, you just can't be one-dimensional about it. You've got to be common life. You got to make people look at you to say, I could just sit down and bullshit with them. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much how anybody should really come off is somebody that you can sit down and just be another man around. And you see these interests I have, it ain't just about spirituality, it's about everything. It ain't just about sports. Also, I like teaching about just being a damn man too. Because that's a big part of life. We see manhood just jumped on so much and stomped on like it ain't good to be a man. It ain't good to be a strong man. It ain't good to be a confident man. That's what they want to teach you. Now, my growing up, that's one thing the elders put in our mind. My mother said, when you look at everybody, you look them in the motherfucking eye. And you don't look away until they look away. They look away, say don't try to intimidate people. You know, read the crowd. But when you meet people, you shake, you don't give them the Mason handshake. It's funny when Masons hit you with the handshake. But just being a man, you know? Yeah, both times he was forced to. It's interesting, like Floyd Patterson, I watched the modern martial artists, and I'm watching Floyd Patterson. Floyd Patterson had some skills that just not many dudes had. Now, the dude I met personally was Joe Walcott. Joe Walcott. Watch the modern martial artists break down these fighters. But he broke down Floyd Patterson, and I looked at how Floyd Patterson fought Sonny Liston. Now, Floyd Patterson was fighting heavyweight. He probably was a 200-pound dude. So, Liston's a little heavier, slightly taller, but skill level wise, he had the skill level to really beat Sonny Liston. I didn't understand the fear because skill level, he was fast. He was faster than Liston. So you watch their fights and he gets knocked out so easy. Again, what was his name? Johannesburg beat him, knocked him out too. So sometimes fighters get knocked out, it's easy to knock them out. But skill-wise, he should have been able to compete with Sonny Liston. He had some better skills. Now, the things that hurt Sonny Liston was he was probably close to 40 years old when he fought Ali. He wasn't young 30s. He was older. He was definitely older. He was an older guy when he fought Liston. When Liston fought Ali the first time, he was older. And then when Liston finally got in great shape, if you remember, Ali had a hernia. And then after that, he was like in fighting shape, little better. You kind of saw the writing on the wall. There's a book that you can get it from almost $2 off eBay. Is about Sonny Liston in the Ali fights. Because I'm not saying Sonny didn't get hit with a punch. Because if you look at Ali fighting Big Cat Williams, Ali backs up. Ali had a rare ability to be able to back up and throw a punch. I mean, to really take a step back but throw a punch forward. And he knocks down Big Cat with that same punch he knocks Liston down. Now, was that enough to beat Liston, to knock him out? Like you watch one of the last Liston's fights, Marvin Johnson maybe was his name. Liston damn near knocks this dude out. And then this dude comes back and beats him. And then the way they killed him, a dude scared of needles is all of a sudden going to be a heroin addict. It just doesn't make sense. And then they killed him like a week, like his wife was gone for about a week. They killed him almost as soon as she left. So they knew she wasn't going to be there. So somebody close to him killed him. He didn't do something, didn't pay. They petty. They know all this about these gangsters, these fake fights. A lot of times, the dude talks shit, get frustrated. Because Sonny Liston was a greeter. Like they was letting Joe Louis do. This is how sad Joe Louis was, and Sonny Liston did the same thing. You know how you see the greeters at Walmart? That's how sad they was with Joe Louis. They had Joe Louis just walking around the casino because people felt sorry for him, because the government hounded him for every penny he made over some shit that he wasn't smart enough to do. His trainer took $2 million and didn't claim it. And so the government penalized Joe Louis for some shit Joe Louis couldn't read or write. Technically, his agent did, or his manager did. And then they drove that man to an early grave. Got him hooked on cocaine, got him paranoid. But can you imagine, one time you the greatest champion in the world, you was called the best American, they wasn't looking at you like a nigga, and you as a Walmart greeter. Can you imagine that? You are basically a Walmart greeter. Motherfuckers come to the casino, hey, how you doing? Hey, come on in the gamble. You know how you see the people that used to be in front of the porno shops? That's basically what he was put to do. A little more glamorous being in Vegas, but at one point, that's all he could really do. He would go referee, Joe Louis would go referee a wrestling match. As soon as it's over, they'd come in and take all the money. This is how much they hounded him. Sad. Joe Louis really didn't want to fight Rocky Marciano other than he needed the money. He needed the money for these taxes. He got 50 or 60,000. They took it off. They was barely letting Joe live on anything. This is how American broke Joe Louis. And Joe Louis joined the army, and Tom formed during the army, and And that's part of why Ali didn't join the army either, because Joe Louis didn't ever fight. Joe Louis didn't fight in the army. He didn't do nothing but do exhibitions and shit, tour into different camps. What do they call it? USO. You know, he didn't ever fight. And they was gonna offer that shit to Ali, but Ali watched how they did Joe Louis, and Ali said the most beautiful thing any brother probably has ever said on American soil. Them Viet Cong didn't call me neither. And what did he follow up with? Why should I fight for you when you won't even fight for my liberty? You are my oppressor. You are my oppressor, America. You won't even believe me for my religion. You let these Seventh-day Adventists say they ain't got to go to Vietnam over religion, but you say I can't go because of my religion. It's a double standard. But he made the great point. He made a great point. Magic Johnson getting HIV, Cassius Clay moments that people call publicity stunts. Nobody gains anything from that, especially Magic getting HIV. Magic gained condoms, fear of free love. Magic put the spell out to stop free love. Like my ex-wife, two of my exes are in their 40s. Three of them in their 40s. They are condom people. It was drilled in their brains. You have to have sex with a condom. If you don't, you can get AIDS like Magic. And so that's one thing that Magic did. Ali, that was a strange thing. Ali was recruited by Malcolm. I know it's some other motherfucker say he gave, but Ali was recruited by Malcolm. He wasn't paying no attention to them. Ali was recruited by Malcolm. Malcolm was taller. Malcolm was about 6'5", a little darker than me, short haircut, but what the short was all red. You got to see a color picture of his brother. Very handsome brother. Especially they fixed his teeth, but they was like brothers at first. And then, they killed Malcolm. And they had a goon squad that was part of Nation of Islam that can't be overlooked. It was a goon squad. And that was part of them getting people, fishes, as they call it, fishes out of the prisons. And we see OG Mac do the same thing to spread bloods in New York, start in the prisons, because people get out all the time. And you let them be bloods in the prison and they go on the street. That was CIA done. CIA did that. So, and I caught another lie. It's a dude named Boone. If you watch Al Prophet shit, I caught another lie. This Boone dude, who more than likely has something to do with killing Maserati Rick. So Boone says, when Al Prophet bring another show, Boone just talking. Boone says he's supposed to be Maserati Rick's bodyguard. He says, somebody calls him and say Rick done got shot. He said Rick done left and went to a car wash without his bodyguard. He doesn't tell you that Rick owned the car wash. Rick was going to work. I'm not saying this rich dude didn't have, but I'm saying there's no way Rick goes to his car wash without his bodyguard. And then how did the people know the timing to shooting? I mean, it's just you own a car wash, you can be up in a room. But he didn't mention this, that Rick was going to the one he owned. Yeah, so we caught Boone in another lie. The Boone more than likely killed him. They cut a lot of. I watched the thing today. It was an old thing I watched before, but Al Prophet's. So he's like, yeah, they're using some of my work. But it just shows you how these motherfuckers, you can catch them lying all the time. And that was a lie I caught on that. And then nobody don't believe that white boy Rick shit. I mean, that is the most. So all these black hustlers, and they want you to think that this 17-year-old white boy is the biggest hustler to come out of ever Detroit. And you got all these dudes that went to prison, Collins, some of these other dudes saying, oh, Rick was the dude you get these keys from. Dude that was an agent from the very beginning. So that was another show. His story makes no sense. Why would someone trust him? Why would somebody with Colombian connection say, this 17-year-old white boy, and he lives in the hood, he can just do it all for us? Who would believe that? Who would give him that? Anybody but the government. Who would believe in him? Anybody but the government. You can't tell me all these hustlers is just that stupid. So if white boy Rick had keys, the government gave it to him. The government gave it to him. Ain't no hustler get that shit to him. And then motherfuckers capping for him. Oh, Rick was the key guy. Yeah, okay. Rick worked for the CIA, and y'all probably did too. That's one thing learn about these old dudes. They all worked for the CIA. If they was rich hustlers in the day, they was working for them. I've talked about this many times. They was working for them. So, slave name. That's another thing is about King. Did Michael King, because that's what his real name was. That's a hard one because, the shot is like one of the best shots ever where, the shot went through his jaw and clipped his spine, killed him instantly. I don't know. It is a good possibility, maybe not. Because somebody put on somebody's thing said that Don King was playing King, Martin Luther King, and I'm like, wait a minute. Don King was about 6'4", 6'5". MLK, Michael King was 5'4", 5'5". Look at the picture. They all little dudes. They ain't tall dudes. These are little dudes. So very unlikely. But it's that thing of the killing 60s. You tried, like Kennedy was definitely not killed. That was all 60 TV. That was all 60 TV. All of it. He stepped aside. That's why I think he's Jimmy Carter. I said that on Zach's show back in 17. I still think he's Jimmy Carter. The age thing and everything. Now there's a slight difference in their size too, but Kennedy wasn't tall either. So Jack Kennedy was not 6 foot. Them mugs was like 5'6", 5'7". He wasn't that tall. So if you go for, did Kennedy really get killed? And then you even look at King, even look at Malcolm's shooting as you can see some flaws in it. Like why no bodyguards? Why of all the trouble he was in, why would he tell his people not to check for guns? That makes no sense. And then they'll say, well, maybe he has the suicide thing, but if you security, listen, it's like that shit with Puffy. All them dudes, if you get in the car, you're supposed to sit in the back seat in the middle where the windows is blacked out. If anybody got any sense of any type of security, you ain't gonna sit next to the window. That's a setup. That is a setup. You sitting next, you put the star, no, security said, okay, you got to going. When you went there, it'd be like, you got to be in the middle in the back where people can't see where you sit. And you know how the Suburbans be blacked out in the back? That's just common security. You sit in the back in the middle so then people can't see. Not sit there shotgun. Now, his leg was messed up, and that's another story. How did you have a bad leg and nobody recorded? You didn't record for a year. Shine can go to prison and record on the telephone. But you telling me this man sitting in a bed, rehabbing, couldn't do music. That's another thing that makes no sense. You was off a year. You could have built a studio in where he was laying in his bed. That made no sense. So, I don't know. Oh, yeah, 9/11 definitely is holograms. Yeah. I was hearing somebody the other night saying there's film of them buildings falling down where no plane hit them. Or not falling down, but they show them like nothing hitting them. And they just blowing up. There's film out there, so if you guys want to dig it up, where it shows the planes, where they show a plane supposedly hitting it. Yeah, it's definitely holograms, especially for the TV audience. Because that's what, like, one thing about Jose Aguirre that wrote this book I show about the Mayan, that blew his mind. He didn't know what to think about it. That like was it was just out of his spectrum that anybody could attack America. It just kind of blew his mind on the activation and stuff. Like, how could such a thing happen? So yeah, it was probably that. It was probably that, to lie, to go steal stuff. And then they go down there to the Iraqi, they go to their museums, and they don't try to steal the relics, they destroy them. And that goes to my point about the original Bible that's in America. It ain't about Christianity, but the original Bible, they can't take it out the country. So, watch Godfather 3. They show the banker get killed, which is kind of interesting. They show how they killed the new pope. The pope, I don't know if y'all, that's in my lifetime when they killed the new pope. This dude was pope for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, and they killed him. And they show that too. So it's interesting. The new Godfather, the new cut, it's not that different, but this following the storyline is kind of interesting if you like that kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. Building 7 made no sense. And then, they went back in there and found that gold. And then what about the $1 billion policy the owner of the building took out? So it's a lot of things that. All right, well, I'm not going to do the divination because I'll do everything tomorrow. But, I'll end with Ishan's poem. Maybe not. Maybe, let's see. Maybe I'll finish with something else. Let's see. I'll finish like this. Moral. It all starts with a gentle sadness. They came from their original homeland. They knew that they had an exact number of years and days before they would disappear off the earth as a culture and a lifestyle. But the civilization would build to a gentle love. They lived in the Creator's day and knew how to separate cycles in the great serpent. I am another yourself. This has been the Chocolate Mountain Show.
Are you done?
Till we meet again.